Next, we go to Lebanon, Tennessee, where David joins us. David, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am living the dream, David. What's happening?
Awesome. Okay, so my fiance is considering moving from a respiratory therapy position on day shift to doing the same job at night. And for a little bit better of a steadier and more stable environment, and a little bit less toxic environment also. Mm-hmm. The shift would be $2 an hour more, and I'm just kind of wondering, what would you ask her to help her come to a decision?
Well, I think you've really identified everything so far. I think you've got two main factors of why she would do this. The first and most important is the less toxic or more stable shift/department. That's the biggie. And so you have to look at that and go, okay, how much of a positive is this going to be for you to get into a more healthy environment and then this different time of day, this different shift? How is that going to positively affect your life? I'd start there. Second thing that I would look at is anytime we look at positives, are there any negatives? But it doesn't sound like there's any negatives, but let's look at those, all right? And then we look at, well, $2 an hour is still $2 an hour, so that's a plus. So is this a situation where she goes, well, I just feel like I need to get out of the toxic environment and I would do it just for that? Or is it I also want to change the time of day that I work? You just have to look at it all. But on the surface, unless I'm missing something, David, the way you laid it out sounds like this is a no-brainer. Am I missing something? What do I not know?
Well, I work days, so we would never see each other except for on the weekends.
Well, okay, now that's an issue.
On the relationship.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then also, I don't know, the night shift is it's not as much fun as it really seems like. I've worked nights before, you may have also, but it can be quite draining.
Yeah. If
you're used to day shift.
Yeah.
And so aside from those two little factors.
But does she feel that way, or is that you talking?
She feels that way a little bit. Haven't quite talked it all the way through, but I wanted to get some guidance as far as
how toxic is the situation she's in right now?
She's been ready to quit for some time.
Yeah.
So this is a better opportunity, I think.
Well, but it might be better, but is it best? So now I know a little bit more, and the relationship factor is an issue. Sounds like it might be more you worried about that than her, right? So far.
A little bit, yes, sir.
And she's not as, worried about what a night shift might be like as you are. So this is a sit down, and this is a couples conversation. And so what might be better might not be best. And I'm taking your feelings into account, but you've got to share those feelings. You have to say, look, you may not know what this is really like until you do it, and have her talk to a few people that actually work nights. That's where I'd start, is have her talk to some people outside of you. Okay. And let's get some objective people in her life that aren't her fiance, and let's see what they say about the downside to working nights. I'd start there. Encourage her to get feedback on the positives and the negatives of a night shift. The toxicity and the better pay, there's no case to be made there. And so that she's kind of, that's a real positive there. There's nothing for you to kind of hack away at on the negative side there, but the relationship issue is obviously the thing you got to talk about. Say, hey, I'm not real wild about never seeing you until the weekend. Now, outside of that, so this is better, but is it best? And this is what I mean. I think you raise a real concern on the relationship issue and the working overnight. I think you raise legitimate concerns, and she may not see it right now. So what I would do is I would say, hey, go get the feedback like Ken told us to. All right. And then I also want her to be looking for other opportunities that would be during the day, better pay, and not toxic, because that would be best. You see the difference between better and best?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do. And I've talked to her about looking at different hospitals and around about the area, but it seems like she's really, how do I put this? She's got like 10 years invested in this one hospital. And so prying her away from that is a little bit difficult.
Well, what's the negative if she were to leave? Does she have some type of pension that she would be? Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. I'm not exactly sure what all it involves, but she does have some stuff that she would lose.
Well, let me tell you something, David. You know what this is? This is a relationship issue now. It really is. I mean, all the things I told you are still things that I want her to get feedback on. You know, she might go, oh, the nighttime thing is going to be more draining, and that's going to be worse than dealing with some of the toxicity that I deal with. So the physical draining could be worse than the emotional draining. You know, she's got to determine that. I still think you do everything I said, but I will tell you at the end of the day, this is a relationship conversation and a very big one because you put a ring on it, man. When's the wedding day?
We haven't set one yet.
Oh boy,
we've been engaged a little bit, but this
is a big conversation, man.
Yes, sir.
This is candlelight dinner. I got to share my heart. Let's talk through this, okay? That's what this is, and and pros and cons, which means she has to list her pros, okay? She has to list her cons, and then she has to hear your list. That's what this is, a relationship conversation. Appreciate the call. Praying for you guys.